Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about some crazy stuff, including perhaps an American joining Red Bull. Surely not. Is it Scott
He's not an
Speed?
American.
Oh, he's Spanish.
A great beginning
Isn't he
of the
Spanish, isn't he?
podcast. Yeah.
But he drives in America, so it's the same thing, essentially.
You could have
Yeah.
said Mexican. So,
Yeah.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Let's get into it. How are you, man?
amazing.
Yeah.
Finally, race weekend. We have race weekend. We have
Yeah.
Dutch Grand Prix. So yeah, a lot of things to talk
I've been
about.
watching
a lot of things to look
MotoGP
forward to.
because I haven't had race weekends, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah. Exactly. So first of all, let's begin. Let's begin with the whole report. It's basically so in case anyone is not aware, just to brief you guys. There's been a reporting from IndyCar something publication.
Mhm.
Someone who's very close to whatever is in and out of what happens in IndyCar. It seems that Alex Palou has been approached by Red Bull and for a possible seat in 2026. So there are a couple of things here which seem to be a bit of you can say a bottleneck in him joining. The first was Alex Palou. At the start of the season, he said that he doesn't think that a future in F1 is possible for him.
Mhm.
The second is, well, him joining Red Bull is a bit of you can say it's basically putting a number one driver with a number one driver. And
Because you've
secondly,
got
he also
two
has a
four-time
contract with
world
CGR.
champions, right?
Yeah,
Unless Max wins the fifth this year, but it's unlikely. So two four-time world champions.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this is roughly the questions that they have, and the answer to that is, first of all, when it comes to his contract with Chip Ganassi, when he re-signed with them, when the whole thing with McLaren popped off,
Yeah.
the clause that is apparently put in was, if he would get an opportunity in F1, he has an out clause. He can go. So,
I think as well that could be bought out in some way, I'm sure. You know,
Of course.
if they really wanted him, there's
of course,
like Red Bull has the
And
money, you know.
Yeah. especially if Max is going, so they will have a lot of money in that
Yeah,
case.
I mean, if you're going to have Max there next year, because you are going to have Max there next year, if you're going to do something crazy like that, that's the year to do it, where you're not betting the entire farm on a driver, basically. You've still got your number one driver. So that's the year to do it. I mean, as well, like, it's a 50-50 shot of it working as well, because clearly Alex Palou is a very good driver. He's Indy 500 champion, winner, four-time IndyCar world champion as well. Well, they say world champion. It's American champion. Let's be honest. But but like also
actually,
those.
they don't go beyond the North America.
Do they do Mexico and Canada? Right? It is just North America.
They only do
or is it
they
just
only do Canada.
US?
US and
right?
Canada. Yeah.
Because I was trying to think. I don't think there is one in Mexico. Yeah, look, it could work out because it also is new. Like, it's going to be a new regulation set. Obviously, that's still going to play in Max's favor because it's still Formula One. He will have been helping with the development, testing simulator, all that stuff. So Alex Palou will still have to do catching up, changing over, all these things. But I mean, driving an Indy car, if the car is difficult to drive, Indy cars have less downforce, less grip. It might be easier for him to adapt to a crazy bad Formula One car. And also, we have seen a couple of times where IndyCar champions have done well in Formula One. We've also seen times when they've done bad. Of course, I'm talking about the highlight of IndyCar champions doing spectacular in Formula One is, of course, Juan Pablo Montoya, and less so than that is Jacques Villeneuve, who was never good. You know,
Okay.
Daniel Ricciardo reference, you remember. But no, what was it? Is it
was,
Juan Pablo Montoya was 99 IndyCar world champion?
Yeah.
I believe.
No.
And then
No. I think it was 2000.
I thought he
in
joined
2000
Formula One in 2001, right? A couple of years later. I could be
No,
wrong
he
on this.
joined the year after.
Okay, well then
once
it's
he won the
2000s.
championship, he won.
Okay.
Because in 2000, Button debuted with Williams and he impressed as soon as he debuted. And they were confused whether to keep him or Ralph. And how they're going to go with Juan Pablo. But
Yeah.
apparently Juan Pablo had pulled off a couple of overtakes or something he had done in a race in IndyCar, and I think at that time, was it called IndyCar or Champ Car? I'm not entirely sure.
I think it was Champ Car. It was kart at that time still.
Yeah,
I
so
think IndyCar is pretty recent, right? It's like the late
yes, yeah, 2008,
2000s, something like that.
2007,
Yeah, yeah.
something. So he had done something like that, and that had impressed Frank Williams and said, "This is the guy."
And Montoya was spectacular. Like,
Very
you
first
know,
race, Brazil.
and he did give like Schumacher some proper competition at points as well, and
Yeah.
that's not easy to do. So yeah, and then you have Jack Villeneuve, who obviously was never good. So we won't go there. No, but Jack Villeneuve
Mario
was
Andretti.
yeah,
Mario
yeah.
Andretti
But
is
he
both
was
Formula
Mario
One winner
Andretti.
and
But I think he was after he went to IndyCar, right?
yeah. After
Michael
yeah,
Andretti
yeah.
was the opposite. He came from IndyCar to Formula One, left after half a season. So I can
Left
go
is
both
the wrong
ways.
word, by the way.
Yeah.
Being fired is the right one. But yeah,
But
we
yeah,
still
so-
love you, Michael.
So it could
Jump
go
on the
both
pod
ways.
someday.
But I think Alex Palou could do well. Like he's clearly
He's good.
He's a talent.
Very
so.
good. Okay, first of all, just your initial impression that why Red Bull is doing something like this. What drove them into such a call?
I think they're worried about. Well, they're obviously worried about Max leaving because next year.
They saw the pictures.
Well, I mean, yeah, with
the
Toto
yacht.
on the yacht, but also I think they need to prepare something because, like realistically, there is a good chance that if they thought the car was going to be spectacular next year, you probably, well, I was going to say you probably keep Horner around, but they're not making clever decisions anyway, so who knows? But like, clearly they're worried about next year regardless. And from the reporting we've seen, there's a good chance that Max, if he's outside the top two next year, I think it is it top three this year?
Okay.
Next year
Yeah,
is
you're
top
right.
two, I think.
Yep.
So essentially, if they're not winning the championship next year, Max is gone. And he probably will leave at that point. Like more than likely. So I guess the idea would be you have two options here. Do you bring Hajar or Lindblad straight up and hope for the best? Or do you get someone in who might come in on like a 2-year contract because F1 is the dream, is a superstar in his own right and is his only option to get on the grid in F1? It's a big name that even if you're not doing that well, you can kind of go, hey, look, we've got Alex Palou, 4-time IndyCar champion, So if you lose Max, it in their mind might still be a good kind of marketing opportunity, at least in the US. It's kind of...
I doubt he's not a star. He's
yeah.
great. He's
But
elite. He's
in
not a
their
star.
mind, it might be some way to kind of damage limitation,
Yeah.
It's probably just a Hail Mary more than anything else, So
Yeah. I agree with you to a large extent when it comes to, well, they've seen the pictures.
Why don't they get Marc Marquez? That's my question. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, that's what another pod.
Yeah.
So it seems that I think this is, look, if it has happened right now, it is quite clear it is happening because they've seen Max on the yard with Toto. And again, look, actions speak louder than words, and Max can talk about being committed to Red Bull. It just seems that he has one foot out of
you're
the
not
door.
you're not possibly saying that the Red Bull board would be reactionary, are you? Surely
Oh,
they're
no, I'm
thinking long term.
Of course. Helmut Marko was thinking long term. So yeah.
Long term retirement.
No. I know where you're going.
He's got his eye on the ball.
No.
Yeah.
I knew where you were going with that one, but he is thinking in terms of who is going to put in Red Bull, and I don't think Max fits the plan because I don't think Max thinks Red Bull fits his future plans. Max is probably gone after 2026, and then you need someone who is going to be at least, first of all, who is good. Secondly, who is decently experienced and can guide the team. And third, they don't have an option. I don't think a George Russell or anyone is coming to Red Bull because they've not. This team is not as attractive as it used to be.
I mean, like
So
if
that's
it
the
was
whole problem.
if it was mid-season this year, you'd say like maybe, and like Max had gone to Mercedes. Let's say that situation happened. Maybe George does go because there's no better option straight away, right? Maybe you can pull a Sainz in. Maybe, Leclerc not right now, but like maybe you could think about the problem is going to be next year if Max is leaving. It's because the team has dropped off even more than it is right now. And at that point, yes, it's like, how do you convince a George? How do you convince even a Sainz who's got, potentially a better engine in a Williams who's on the way up, like to go to a team, even if Williams and Red Bull are kind of near to each other, why would you jump to Red Bull in that situation? Like if Williams are 5th or 6th in the championship and Red Bull are 4th, like why would you take a punt on the one that's going down instead of the one that's going up? Like what's the point? So yeah, this could be their only option next year.
Plus, look, both Hadjar and Lindblad are very young. They're teenagers right now, so they will need time to,
And you've got a second team to put them in and test that out for 2026.
Exactly.
So
makes sense from their perspective.
Sure, because you could have Lindblad and Hadjar fight it out in the V-Carb. You take this punt on Alex Palou. If Alex Palou turns out to be fucking giving Max a run for his money, which I don't think anyone would expect.
I mean, even if he doesn't, if he's good enough, for the transition period where
you've got Alex and Lindblad, for example, for 27.
You have some decent thing.
Yeah.
Plus, Alex is very young. I think he's Max's age. He's 28. So
I can check right now.
Yeah, he is. I wrote an article just a few hours back. He is 28.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's maybe a few months older than Max, but they're basically the same age bracket.
Yeah.
It's just that I think there have been question marks on whether Alex would be looking to move, but I think it makes sense for him to move now because he's gamed IndyCar, and IndyCar is not a category you tend to own the way he's done, because he's basically won almost everything this season. He's had Max Verstappen 2023 season in IndyCar, which is not possible because IndyCar is very unpredictable. You never know because a lot of things happen when it comes to that series.
It's very much a spec series though as well, isn't it? So like it's it's like setup changes instead or whatever, basically.
There's more than that. But the thing is,
different engines and stuff as well, right? So
yeah, there's Chevrolet and Honda. So there are different. The thing is, the richer the team, the better the operations. He is quite fairly in the best team operationally right now. So there are things that work in his favor in IndyCar, but the kind of season he's put together right now, he's not going to do that again next season. So he's basically peaked, whichever way possible you can put it. He's also won Indy 500, which is basically the biggest prize in IndyCar. So everything is done. 4 titles as well. What more do you need to do?
Yeah. I mean, look, even if he was offered a 1-year contract at Red Bull, which could be a gamble, why not take it?
I don't think he'll take it, by the way.
No? If it's a 1 year?
What's the point?
Well, what's the point in staying in IndyCar after doing all that if you have a chance at F1? Because if he comes into F1 and he thinks he can overperform, he comes into F1, he's sitting alongside Max, who's like the biggest benchmark. If he performs well against Max...
careers.
Yeah. But my point is, like, but drivers like him, drivers at like the level of like an Alex Palou, a Charles Leclerc, George Russell, like, these guys, Alonso,
we don't know that, right?
No, we don't know that. But my point is, they in their heads think they can perform alongside Max. Like, they don't see Max. When they see Max end career, so like, yeah, but that was a midfield driver or a young driver. Like, I would have beaten him. That's how they think. Or I would have at least been up there with him.
Yeah.
So I think Alex Palou would kind of rate. I'm sure if he's that good in IndyCar, a
2-year contract at least.
Maybe.
Plus, it's not even about it's not even about that he'll take it. It's about it's similar to George being offered a 1-year contract at Mercedes right now. Because the thing is, the question is, he's earned it.
Yeah.
He is a legitimate all-time great in IndyCar right now, without a doubt, the kind of stuff he's doing. And he's proved himself beyond doubt. And if you're giving someone who's driven pretty much 5 to 6 years in IndyCar, you're giving him just 1 year to prove himself in Formula 1 when there is no testing, I think that's a foolish way to go about it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you have to it has to be understood that the first 6 months for Alex is going to be understanding the sport. Because in IndyCar, you have refueling, you change tires fine, but you have refueling, you have other elements that you have to take care of. In Formula 1, you don't have that. So there are the racing is different. A lot of things are very different. So he has to adapt to all of those things. The tracks will be new for him. So once you have so many factors, giving him a 1-year contract is basically a recipe to failure.
Yeah, so and they most likely won't do it. Most likely it's a 2-year, as you said. But I think even if he was offered a 1-year contract, I could see him still doing it. Given F1, I think it was a dream. Yeah,
the biggest thing is the money. Yeah, because IndyCar, look, it has prestige. It doesn't have the money.
Yeah,
the best I think the best paid driver is Joseph Newgarden, who gets around 4 million. And it is chump change when it comes to Formula
Well, I mean,
1.
look,
Honestly.
even think of it this way: if he backed himself enough, like even if they offered, say, a really shitty 1-year contract, right, and he thinks he's good enough to like take on Max, even if he was relatively competitive against Max, jumping in for his first season in Formula One, he would basically be called on by a bunch of other teams pretty quickly.
I think
you
that
know?
would be the plan for him, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win situation for him because he's probably not getting another call up to Formula One by anyone else anyway at this stage. You know,
And you couldn't get better than this, right?
No,
You're not going to
no.
be offered a team. Well, he was very close to being assigned with McLaren, right? Yeah.
So
It's
But
a
yeah.
good thing. Plus, also, there's.
I'd like to see it. It would be interesting. And I think
this is something. This is a must-see thing. Honestly,
I think I'd prefer to see that than Lindblad or Hadjar called up for next year as well.
Yeah, and
I'd
their
rather
careers
see them
ruined as well.
Yeah, I'd rather see them get another year or so. See how the Red Bull is in terms of like, have they developed just another car that's like crazy peaky and only Max can drive it?
Yeah.
You know, because for all we know, a lot of that ideation could carry over to 2026. You know, like so. We could have a car next year that's still extremely difficult to drive. And then Lindblad comes in, for example, as this young hotshot, and that's his career
nothing.
over.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's just a car. It's not Lindblad being crap. It's, You know, so
Let's
I'd
see with
almost
that.
prefer an
Plus-
IndyCar champion to be destroyed than Lindblad or Hadjar, basically, is what I'm saying.
Plus, also it answers one of the bigger questions, right? Where Tony Hinchcliffe, not Tony Hinchcliffe, the other Hinchcliffe. What's the other Hinchcliffe?
I
James
know,
Hinchcliffe.
James Hinchcliffe, yeah.
Yeah, so James Hinchcliffe came on. I think it was the Red
Very
Flag
different people,
podcast.
those two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one's a Canadian. Yeah,
And one absolutely
that's
loves
already a
Puerto
leg up.
Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what his view was that at least for the first season, if Alex Palou is put in the same car as a McLaren, where both Lando and Oscar are, so at least for the first season he'll take some time to adapt, but by the second season he'll be as good as or better than them. And I don't ascribe to that notion because that is basically saying that McLaren had Lando in the team, McLaren tested Alex Palou, and they did, by the way. They not only tested him on track, he was there in the simulator. And McLaren had the data of Alex Palou and they still let him go and picked up Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, so that
that's
tells you
the
what you
thing.
need to know. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
next
yeah.
season is going to be, if he comes in, I think even in general.
It's strange
getting
as well when you think
the-
about it, actually, because didn't Helmut Marko overlooked Oscar Piastri as well, which is
No, I think it wasn't a case of overlooking him. Oscar drove for Arden, which is Red Bull's, Horner's former
Yeah.
team. So he drove for them, and I think they could pick only one driver, and they went for Jack Doohan. Maybe, I'm not sure, but something on those lines.
looks great now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the name probably played a role. I think
Yeah.
Doohan beat Oscar in that season. I don't know. I don't remember what happened exactly. But this
But
was something.
Do you think maybe Helmut Marko just gambles ideas instead of actually having an idea of who's going to be better?
He's the perfect example of throwing shit at the wall, and one of them that
Seeing what
sticks. He
sticks,
brings
yeah.
the entire world to see it.
Yeah. Anyway,
By
yeah.
the way, we are not calling Max Verstappen shit, by the way.
No, we're saying he's the
All the
shit
shit
that sticks
on the wall.
Yeah. Technically, you said it. I mean, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
We are not calling it. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of whether shit will stick or not, George Russell's
Yeah.
contract extension.
how
Has it
do
been
you
stuck
see
to
it?
the wall
Because
yet?
I think I might have a very differing view from yours. Tell me.
I
set
think,
the
look,
table.
it's going to be announced soon.
First, set the table for people who are maybe not aware of what's going on with the whole thing.
So there's still a delay on it because essentially it looks like Toto wants to hold out for Max for 2027 still, which is
Probably,
quite annoying.
but so what
And also
happened
George
is,
is pushing back on some stuff, but it looks of it.
yeah. So what happened is pre Hungarian Grand Prix, it was first Marco who came out and said that Max is not going anywhere. Then Max came in. He said that I was always committed to Red Bull, even though he waited until the exit clause expired.
Yeah.
I should have asked this from Damien, right? I missed
Yeah.
this one. But yeah, anyways, maybe next time. If once all this happened, the first thing that we all expected was that a contract extension would be announced. I think it was Sky that probably reported that a multi-year contract had been offered to George. As soon as the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend began, there was no announcement, and what George said was that he was in no hurry to sign a contract.
Yeah.
When he was questioned that the reason was the length of the contract, he said that I'd rather not sign a long-term contract. I don't know what it means, but he was being a bit, you can say, cryptic. Once the race weekend ended, he was on podium, and again in the post-race conference, he was questioned that should we hear the news of the contract extension soon. He said, you should not expect it during the summer break.
Mm-hmm.
So these are his comments. This is where the thing ended. But then we had the summer break, and then we had the leaked pictures of Toto Wolff and Max Verstappen spending the summer on a yacht.
Yeah.
That's where we are. And what do you think happens from here?
The problem is, like, it just unfortunately seems like even with his performances, Toto's pretty convinced that he's going to keep Kimi over George in the long term if it came to a decision between the two. Which I still think, as much as I do think Kimi's going to go on to be brilliant, I still think is a crazy way to look at things, right? Because
I don't.
Because it's still it's still a gamble. You still don't know if he's going to be better than George. You're just assuming he will, you know? And George was very, very highly talented when he came in, when he was at Williams, like junior career, everything. So like he could end up being just as good as George or worse. Like we assume he'll be better, but we don't know that. So it's still a bit of a gamble. So it looks like basically the other thing to this is it may not be that situation. It may be a case of Kimi is willing to take a 1+1 and that's basically not a problem. You know, because Kimi is new, he wants to stay with Mercedes. It would be harder for him, given his performances this year, to find somewhere else to go if he decided to push back.
If he is on the market, he'll be picked up.
I'm sure he would, but my point is it would be harder for him than, say, George at the moment in time to like find a long-term home, basically, because his performances this year haven't been as spectacular as expected. We know how Formula One works. So I reckon he's probably happy enough to just go, 1+1, I'll prove myself next year. It's fine, right? George, on the other hand, is probably thinking, I've already fucking proved myself. I want a 2-year contract. I don't want to be in this fucking situation again next year. And he's pushing back on it. And Toto's thinking, well, I mean, where else are you going to go? So now we're at a stalemate because one of them's basically saying, well, I can go. And Toto's like, well, where? So Toto, unfortunately for George, Toto, even though I think George is in a stronger position now than before, I still think it's still a tough sell for him to be like, no, pick me for the long term over Max. Is still a hard sell for George. Even though I do think he's in a stronger position because if George fucks off, it does leave Toto in a bit of a tricky situation for next year. Because if next year doesn't go well for Toto, it's going to look bad on Toto. If the car's bad and he hasn't got a kind of stellar driver, if Kimi doesn't pick up, that looks really bad for Toto next year, especially with all the expectations they have. So I do think Toto does need to keep George, but does he need to keep George enough to give him 2 years and basically write off Max coming in, or Max coming in has to be to replace Kimi? Neither situation he wants. So yeah, I do think George will sign again. I just wonder how far is he willing to go to try and get the 2-year contract? That's going to be interesting. And how much is Toto willing to risk George? Because also this is the interesting part for me is if Toto doesn't give George a 2-year contract, right? Let's say, and he decides like, no, I'm only willing to do a 1+1. And then next year, George goes, okay, I'll sign the 1+1 because I have no better option right now. And then next year, Mercedes doesn't perform well. And Toto's like, George, you should stick around. It'll be better next year. And George goes, no, fuck you. And Max looks at Mercedes and goes, not that interested. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Toto's left with neither of them. That's the other, that is a very, like, not realistic a likely situation, but a realistic scenario in Formula One. So I think Toto, needs to be a bit more careful about this than I think. I think Toto thinks he has all the cards, and at the moment he does. But things can change very fucking quickly in Formula One. And I do think the way he's handled this has been a bit he should have kept this Max situation much quieter and told George, like, look, I need to just figure out what we're doing with Kimi and everyone. Let's keep. Like, I think he would have been smarter lying and saying, let's just keep this quiet until October or something, like, or until July, I don't know. I think this thing has been handled badly and it could backfire very quickly. Maybe it won't, but it could.
What do you think Toto's mindset seems to be from whatever you've seen in terms of? So look, the problem that Toto faces is even if he has the best power unit, he cannot guarantee the best car next season. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And even in that scenario, could there be a scenario where Max has already signed the option for 27?
Maybe it could, and that might be why he's so bullish on it. And like in that case,
Because he's bullish. He's very, very bullish in terms of he would not be he would if even if he was spending the summer with or whatever a couple of days whatever on Max's yacht, he would have made sure that nothing comes out in public.
Yeah.
He would have made sure it coming out is actually a more of a power signal that look, I've already made my call. You want to stick, you don't, go.
I'm good for 27.
Yeah, because there could also be a scenario where look, even if by the end of the season George says, okay, fuck it, I'm not going to join Mercedes, I'm going to Alpine.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to Cadillac for that matter. You might see Toto pretty much breaking the bank and bringing Max on.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
any
just
point you
buying
can
the
break the
contract out
contract,
completely.
right? Because it would cost a lot of money.
Well, I don't know, because I think in this particular situation, from my understanding of it, Red Bull would also have to agree to the buyout. And I think Red Bull would basically, they would prefer to keep Max than $100 million at the moment. So I don't know if maybe
But
that's
the
a
value is
situation
written
where,
on the contract anyways, right?
yeah,
They're
but Red,
only
but Red Bull
worth,
would have to agree to it in that situation. There's certain contract stipulations where both sides would need to agree with it. Generally, as Horner always said, like if the driver really wants to go, like you just say, fine, let's just talk money. But they can enforce the contract and say, no, you have to stay because we're not accepting a buyout. Like we're just not accepting it. And that could be the situation Max and Toto find themselves in, where Red Bull is basically saying, we fired Horner, we tried to keep you happy, we're not taking 100 million now. Like you're staying here for next year, whether you like it or not. And basically that's that, and like that could be just the
happened in the
situation
past as well with
Yeah.
the whole Button Williams BAR thing, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because it is
Even Williams George, I know it was less of a
that was
problem,
less-
but Claire Williams did basically say, no, I'm enforcing the contract. And she was within her rights to do that, and Toto couldn't just say, I'll pay you money to get it out, because she's like, no, we're not taking money, we're enforcing the contract. And that was that. So this
so
can't
maybe that
happen.
could be a case, yeah.
Yeah. The thing for me is, I think if that was the situation, I think Toto has been open enough about it at the moment where maybe he doesn't want to say publicly that Max is signed for 2027, but I think George would know that. And I think in that
I doubt
situation,
George knows it anymore because
maybe, but I think in
way
that situation,
Toto has been
George
talking,
signs a
right?
year anyway, right? Because
he doesn't have an option.
no, but I mean, maybe George signs for 2026 and just says, this is my last year at Mercedes anyway, or whatever, because where else does he go? That's not a bigger gamble anyway,
So he spends 2026
with
If the car
Mercedes.
is great. He wins the championship.
If he wins a championship and goes, like that's, I think that's a big middle finger to Toto anyway, isn't it? Like, but then Toto gets Max the next year with the best car, so Toto wins. Win-win for Toto anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
The thing I said, look, in this point in time, Toto has most of the cards, and I think Toto is playing them the way he wants to play them.
Yeah.
The problem is, as I said, it's like that all sounds great now, and I know most Formula One fans are like, well, George can fuck off. Like, George is nobody, Mercedes holds all the cards. It's like, sure, that kind of thinking, though, can and has backfired in Formula One before. And Mercedes could very much next year lose George and never sign Max, because they could have a car that's not as good as McLaren. Aston are ahead, for example. Williams build a brilliant chassis out of nowhere. All of a sudden, Merck is fourth in the list, and Max goes, Max goes, I'm going to Aston. and George fucks off to Williams or something. You know, stranger things have happened. Or Lando gets pissed off and George gets in with Piastri. Like,
100%.
all of a sudden, Toto's without two
Or
drivers
George goes to
because
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Leclerc is pissed off, or Lewis is
and then
looking
all
to
of a
retire,
sudden,
anything.
all of a sudden, Toto's in a situation where he hasn't got Max, he hasn't got George. Kimi, for whatever reason, is still underperforming. Let's imagine, could happen, and he's got like the fourth best car. Now all of a sudden, Toto's in a situation where he's defending his career instead of trying to play someone else's. So
I think we are right in assuming 2027 Max has already signed an option.
probably,
Just like
I
Kimi
mean,
did with 2007, right? With
it
Ferrari.
wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise
Seems
me.
like it. It seems that there is already something in place, and I feel bad for George. I really feel bad for George because he's been boxed into a situation which he doesn't deserve. He's done everything right, and it's just hardcore business, right? This is Formula One at its core. You have to understand, and I think George understands that. All he can do is he can perform. He can try to be he can try to beat Max Verstappen as many times on the grid, on the track as you can.
Yeah,
I think it seems that the eventual conclusion of the whole thing is going to be Kimi will sign an extension. I don't know how many years or what. It will probably be announced in Monza, his home race. And I think George will have a 1-year extension with an option. At the same time, I would not be surprised if Toto already has Max's signature for 27.
probably has Max on an option, basically. Not on a signed done deal contract, because I'd say Max is probably like, I'll sign it, but it depends on where you are in the championship next year, essentially. You know, like how good your car is next year.
Look, I don't think Toto would want to be in that situation.
Well, no, but this is why he's probably trying to sign George to a 1+1, because then he has an option on both, and it depends on how next year goes. But that's where I'm saying that could backfire, because if the car doesn't perform and George is put in that position, Toto goes into next season with a 1+1 or like on George, so he has an option for George. He has an option for Max. The car underperforms, and both of them fuck off. And then Toto's in it. You know, that's what I'm saying. That's why it could backfire. Maybe it won't, but it could very well backfire.
Yeah, it could. Of course it could. What if Kimi Antonelli does what many expect him to do?
That's the other thing. Like if Kimi massively overperforms next year and becomes like the Kimi that we're expecting.
Or the second half.
Yeah. Like if he becomes the Kimi that he's expecting.
He was just 10th off George in Hungary as well, but the final lap
it's going to be a fucking nightmare for Toto in 2027, I think, because he's going to have Kimi, his prodigy, that's brilliant. He's going to have Max, who he's been hunting, and now he's going to have Max's management team and Jos, who are going to say, no, everything has to go towards Max, and it's going to be an infight and a nightmare, and it'll end with Toto being fired by the board. The last part was a joke, but it could be a nightmare. I don't know. I just think as much as
the biggest piece in all of this is Kimi, because I think a lot of people have looked at the first half of the season, taken all context out of it, and made it look like Kimi is performing worse than he is.
Kimi's been good. It's just the expectations were too high. We said this earlier.
It's not even that. It's just since
and
Canada,
the
the upgrade was a bit wonky. Once that is gone, Kimi has said
even George
the confidence is back.
Even George said the car was made tricky for Kimi, basically, by the upgrades.
Exactly.
So,
and we'll see. I think plus it's a rookie season. This is the first time he's been on all these tracks. This I think from Zandvoort onwards, we might see, if we see a better Kimi, that actually raises a lot of questions. Because if even in that case, if Kimi ends up being the exceptional talent he's been banked to be, then there is a lot of problem for Toto, because he's putting two drivers on a collision course, which he doesn't need to, right?
Because George and Kimi work well together anyway, and George.
That's the whole thing. I mean,
George with all of his teammates
has a Daniel Ricciardo Verstappen thing, which Red Bull had. Yeah, and he's going
one that will work better together even than those two.
Yeah,
because you don't have Jos Verstappen. Let's just put it bluntly, sitting in the background. So
Kimi is also not that abrasive.
And George worked well alongside, even when the points at which Hamilton was beating George throughout their 3 years, those 2 or 3 weekends. I'm joking, but even during those points, it wasn't like George was losing his shit and looking for problems, and he was just like, Hamilton was better this weekend. So I think having those two together works. it'll be interesting to see what Kimi and Max work. And I think, again, not because of Max specifically, because I think Max is willing to just prove himself on track. It's kind of his team around him that will push for certain things that can cause a bit of chaos. And I don't think Kimi Antonelli's dad will let that fly either. He doesn't seem
He's
like the
not
type. He's not that bad, but I think push comes to shove, it's your son. He's not exactly a pushover of a guy either. Like his dad is kind of, he's a formidable, So if Jos Verstappen comes in and starts kicking the bucket around, I don't think Antonelli's dad is going to be the type to just sit and let it happen either. So, and then Toto's in an even worse than Hamilton-Rosberg situation, like, so it's, it could be fun. Look, either way, it's going to be fucking,
fun, isn't it?
For us, it's fun.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. If George does get the boot, or basically is forced to sign a 1-year contract, I do feel sorry for him. And it's not because, as many people say in the comments and on Twitter, that I'm a George fan, because I'm not. It's because I don't mind. Like when I was a Checo fan, or I am a Checo fan, and even I said in 2024, look, no matter what, this is not working. So it's just I think it's kind of unfair because the car clearly isn't suited to him and so on. But he's not performing. This is F1. That's that, Whereas with George, I feel sorry for him because he is performing spectacularly and has performed.
It's the nature in which Toto has gone about it, isn't it?
Yeah, because
it's demeaning to a driver of George's caliber.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, it all comes down to, look, George is being treated poorly for the kind of work that he's doing, and he deserves better when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Max is good. Max is brilliant. Understood and agreed. If you want to go after him, it's fine. But the way the whole entanglement is, it looks bad because the driver is basically extracting all there is from the car. And it's continued negligence on Toto's side, because even the 3 years with Lewis, George was the forgotten part of the whole thing, even though he scored the most points and got the best results.
That's what's been so bizarre for me, because I know how some fans talk, but fans are idiots. Like, they'll point to 2 races where George was bad, which was Australia when he crashed behind Alonso, and Singapore. Apart from those 2 situations, it's very hard to call out some really bad George races.
There are a couple,
but there's been a few.
But it's not
for every driver. But for every driver, there's been a lot. But for George, similar to some of the other top tier drivers, there's been way more great weekends than there has bad weekends. And to a massive degree. It's not like it's not like it's 60-40, it's like 90-10. Like, it's, so George is Mr. Consistency, Mr. Saturday throughout his career. He's done everything he can do to make sure.
Exactly.
And he's played the game. And he's sat back and let Toto say, let Toto and Williams say, look, just play the game, hold out for another year. Yep, fine, Toto. Come in and Hamilton's still number 1. Sure, no problem, I'll play the game. All of these things, we're going to give these upgrades to Hamilton first. Fine, whatever. I'll play the game. I'll do what I need to do. Yeah. And still, it's it's not enough. And if he was,
what point will he get his due? And it's becoming very irritating.
He may never in Formula One. He may never as well. That's the unfortunate part, because he is a driver that definitely has world champion caliber, but because of this could put him on a path to never win a world championship. It equally could put him on a path. It could put him on a path to win a world championship and go on a run. But that's how Formula One works.
Pretty much give the middle finger to Toto. Yeah. Let's see if it happens, because I think at some point it would be getting on George's nerves as well, because this is
he
not.
He said it though, didn't he? He bluntly kind of said it
in Canada. Not even in Canada. I think even in
it was after
Hungary.
That.
He said that throughout my career and throughout the Mercedes stint, I've always felt that Mercedes and mine interest, they align at almost every point. The last 6 months have not been that, and he's been very honest.
He brought
about
Kimi
it.
into that as well, didn't he?
He
basically said me and Kimi
like that for the last 6 months for me and Kimi both.
And given how George is with PR and being very specific about the words he said, that's as close to what the fuck are you doing, Toto, as George will give, basically.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, apparently he's a bit of a cunt, but in public he's pretty nice about these things.
Bastard.
So. Yeah. Typical British, drinking tea in front of you while conquering the world. Anyway,
even that is stolen. Where did they get the tea? It was from China?
Yeah, and they gave them heroin back.
Yeah, basically. Opium.
That's a crazy story. They basically got them high and then stole the tea. Genius.
Addicted on opium.
Yeah.
Amazing story, by the way. This is, yeah. Anyways, moving on. Just to sum it up, by the way, there's one question that was asked to me by, there was a panel I was on recently. So it was interesting, by the way. Will 2026 define Toto's legacy in Formula One?
That's so hard to call because it just depends on how it goes. Like, even because the thing is, if he wins, like if they start winning the titles again, I don't know if that defines his legacy because there's so much to it. If he has a utter shit year and loses those two drivers, then that could be a big dent in his legacy. Like, the problem with legacy conversations is it depends. Like, is he gone after those two or three seasons if it goes badly, or is he around for 10 years, you know?
How it was put to me was, and I liked the question that, and by the way, the question was from my nephew, so shout out to him. What he said was that, okay, look, and he's recently getting into Formula One. So for him, it was that, okay, look, Toto took over Mercedes essentially in 2014 as the team boss. Before that, in 2013, he was the director. The team entirely was built by Ross Brawn. He was displaced as basically a bit of a coup from the key management members. They basically pushed him out. Braun is very open about it, and he said that he was just pushed out. While he was pushed out in 2014, Toto was given a team that was pretty much, it had everything. It had brilliant drivers in Lewis and Nico. It had a brilliant power unit, which was, I mean, just miles ahead of everyone else. He had the foundation to lead and manage things. So he led and managed things for 8 years. What was the biggest advantage for Mercedes during those 8 years? It was the power unit. And the advantage was bedded in by Ross Brawn and whatever
And
he
Andy
did.
Kell, basically,
And
yeah.
the
But
main,
Ross Brawn's team, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Once he's gone, after those 8 years, the first time Toto has to be at the head of the technical regulations, he flounders big time in 2022. And
Yeah.
the last 3 years, Mercedes has no fucking clue how the car will behave on a particular race weekend. Now, at this particular stage in 2026, he's heading into a season where he's had 4 years of incompetence and a lot of expectations, because a lot of people, and he's not made any, you can say, effort to quell the rumors that Mercedes has the best power unit. He heads into 2026. The power unit is not the best. He's not winning the championship. At that point in time, what's his legacy?
But it's even worse than that if they head into 2026 with the best power unit and lose. You know, like if they lose to a
Yeah, but
customer
still,
next year,
in that case, they have some, you can say, some
something
thread
sure
to hold on to, right?
But it's gonna basically be like you had 4 seasons to fix your aero team. You know, your engine wasn't the problem because one of your customers was winning with the same engine, which should have told you, frankly, your aero team needed fixing. And if you go into a new season now without fixing your aero team in a new regulation set, you have basically just said, well, it looked like we were losing because of the aero team. I didn't fix that, and now we're losing because of the aero team.
Yeah.
So, and it's Toto's job to identify whether the aero team is working right or not. You know,
Exactly.
so which they're clearly not, because it's constantly a conversation of, well, we're not really sure why we were fast this weekend, or we're not really sure why we were slow this weekend. It's like,
They
that's your fucking
decimated
job.
the field in Las Vegas last year.
Yeah.
They have no fucking clue how they did that.
No idea.
I mean, it's the first time, and I've been watching the sport for forever now. I've never seen a team win the race and come out like, huh, how did that happen?
Yeah,
I've never
it
seen
was,
that.
It was just guesswork of like, maybe because it was colder. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it's just insane.
That's it.
But imagine how that race could have gone if Hamilton had qualified better. But yeah, look, I don't know. I think it'll depend. But I think Toto should be careful though, because the last time someone dicked around with a proper quality talent, offering them a 1+1 because they were trying to see whether they were going to bring in a big talent the next year, they ended up with having to drop both drivers. Well, losing both drivers. Remember when they kept offering Alonso 1+1 because he was old, and then Alonso left, and it turned.
Okay, you're talking about Alpine.
Yeah. Because remember
I thought
that,
you were talking. Yeah, that literally happened. Yeah.
Max Verstappen next year. The rumors that I'm driving for Mercedes in 27 are inaccurate. I will not be driving for them. You know,
Let's see. it was interesting because it made me think, okay, like fine, because the biggest look for Lewis, he's a car merchant and he's done nothing to actually change that in the last few years. But for Toto, it has been the biggest asterisk for him has been that he's been handed down a team by Ross Brown and Michael Schumacher by whatever was done in 3-4 years. If he's and again, I don't particularly ascribe to that opinion, but if you head into another technical regulations where you're not doing what you're supposed to, that's going to raise questions, and his position will be in danger as well. He
Yeah.
might need to either replace himself or recuse himself or whatever. There might be a case of they need new blood in
Well, I
some
think
way.
I don't think it'll go that far very quickly. I think the first step will be essentially. Again, it'll depend on whether it's the engine or the aero. Because if it's the engine is fine, then
It's not fine. How is it fine?
No, I mean if the engine is fine, I mean, then
okay.
you're in a situation where it'll likely be right. Let's put Allison in the guillotine and get someone else in because clearly it's his fault. But that only buys you so much time if things then don't turn around and so on. You know, so
Let's see.
they'll probably have Vache next year anyway. No, because if they want Max to go there, I don't think that'll
In case
happen,
you've heard a few things, there are Red Bull is going through a major brain drain right now. A lot of people are left. Well, they had a great summer break apparently, so maybe Alex Palou fix everything. Anyways, enough talk about Toto. Let's talk about one battle that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and I think maybe it's going to be one of the more narratives of sorts in the second half of the season. We know who's going to win the championship. It's going to be either Lando or
Oscar Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, unless Ferrari they bring another.
Even
Sorry.
not
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have is Max Verstappen in P3, you have George Russell in P4, and you have Charles Leclerc in P5.
Yeah.
Charles is at 151, Max is at 187, and George is somewhere in between.
172. So
Yeah.
George
So there's 16,
is
17 points between all of
yeah.
them.
George is 15 points off Max, and then Leclerc is 21 points off of George.
Yeah.
So close enough that they can move around.
There will
Depending
be a
on
battle.
things.
Yeah. So if you have to make a pick on who ends up finishing third, because look, this is the real bragging rights, because maybe these three are the best drivers in Formula One right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who ends up on top?
Yeah. I mean, it could be Leclerc because I think Ferrari are still bringing upgrades. The problem is my confidence in
upgrades.
my problem is that confidence in Ferrari in general, let alone just their upgrades, went to an all-time low. I think somewhere in the 15th century. So back, I think they won their title around then as well, their last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't look. It could well be Leclerc because look at how Ferrari turned things around at the end of last year, but I just don't have the confidence in that. I'm thinking it's going to be George personally.
Okay.
The reason being is I don't
You're a
think
George Russell fan.
Yeah, of course. I'm a massive George Russell fan. No, I think it's a case of I don't think Ferrari are going to do enough to give Leclerc a car that he can like be consistent with. I think the Mercedes is more often like I think the Ferrari and the Red Bull will probably have some peaks where they'll like win a few races here and there or whatever. But I think the Mercedes is more consistently kind of in and around. I think there will be a couple of races where George can win. But I think the Mercedes will just do what it normally has done over the last few seasons, which is it's consistently not that shit. It's never brilliant, but it's consistently not that shit. And I think Red Bull will have a few races where they'll be really shit, and the same with Ferrari. And I think that's where like George will just kind of consistently pick up points. And because you're not going to be fighting for wins or second places as often as McLaren, you're not like swinging it as much as say last year where, you know, Max could have a 7th place, but then a couple of wins, you know, and like swing back the points. I think it's going to be 7th place and then maybe a 4th, you know, whereas George could be like 4th, 3rd, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 5th, you know, and he's just kind of picking those up and you're not getting the big swings from the other guys. Because I think McLaren are going to be like 1-2 at a lot of the next races. So
I heard that. Yeah, I agree, but
I also don't have any faith in Red Bull not to shit the bed repeatedly now for the rest of the season because they're clearly being run by a board, and that always goes well in Formula One.
Yeah, plus a lot of restructuring is going on. It will take time for the team to, get the bearings back in place. It's going
Plus,
to be
you're gonna have even worse now, where like you know yourself, even from real life. Once people decide they're out the door, their performance in that team is going to go down. So even if people aren't leaving, if they've already decided, yeah, once my contract's up, I'm out of here, they're not going to be giving it 110% like they normally would. They're going to be working on where am I going next? What's my plans? And that morale in the team goes down. And Helmut can only ask people to work 10% harder so much, so.
Yeah. I worry about that.
Cannot believe that's a literal quote. I cannot
It is a
believe
literal quote, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I cannot believe he actually said to the team, can you try and work 10% harder? Like, what fucking world is he living in where he thinks
And
that's
he
a
said
management
that
style?
to a team which basically idolized Christian Horner, the person he fired a day back.
A team that just won a driver's championship, and was in the fight for it up until like a few races ago. They gave everything to Max.
Pretty
and
much.
Then they fired their boss. Max basically says, yeah, I'm not winning the championship in this shit car. And then he comes in and goes, work 10% harder. Yeah, that's sure. That sounds like
This is going to go down well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've had some startups that I've run before that have failed, but I think they would have failed spectacularly fast, like much faster and more spectacularly.
Yeah.
If when we had a contract or something go wrong, I had to say, guys, can we just work 10% harder? I think people would have just left. I know I would have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My worry is the same. I ideally look, if there is any championship where you have somewhat similar paced cars and you have Max Verstappen, around 10, 15 and more and around 30-point lead, you would expect Max to be finishing P3. I don't think he does. I first of all, I don't think he will be motivated enough for a P3.
He's not pushing for
After
it, yeah.
fighting for championship for the last 4 years. This is breadcrumbs for him. He's not really interested. Then the other thing is, I don't think the Red Bull operation is going to be as sharp as it has usually been.
Yeah.
And then you have a scenario where the car, I mean, we all forget it was dog shit in Hungary. There was something, I don't know what exactly happened, but the car was not in the perfect window. And you might see, and you have one or two more races where Max is finishing P8, P9 on performance.
Yeah.
And you have George and Leclerc fighting for the podium. The gap is gone. So once you add all this up, it becomes a bit tough for Max to be a factor.
Yeah.
I think the battle between George and Charles is going to be interesting because I think Ferrari is a more peaky car.
Yeah.
In Hungary, it could have won if the floor didn't shit the bed. There's one major question when it comes to Ferrari. It is whether the issue was track or condition specific, or whether it's just the feature of this car. If that is sorted, then I think Ferrari would have the best car in the last 10 races. And if Ferrari has the best car in the last 10 races, I wouldn't be surprised if Charles wins.
Yeah. If Leclerc gets a good car under him, then sure. But this is less about Leclerc and more about Ferrari. So
As throughout his career, that has been the case, right?
So if Leclerc has the best car of the three, then Leclerc is winning. Because the margins between the three are quite, as much as we talk about this all the time. As much as Max or George or Leclerc fans like to throw things around, the margin between them is very small. It's fine details. So if
There
Leclerc
are
has the
three
best car,
races
he's
that you
winning
would
most
actually
often.
back Leclerc to win. Like there's Singapore, there's Monza. Monza, I'm not entirely sure how the low downforce thing is working for them. The third is which was Baku. Sorry.
Yeah.
So these are the three tracks where I think I'd expect Charles to have a good one. And if he has three good ones and he wins even one of them, even that helps a lot. So that's why I tend to lean a bit towards him when it comes to this.
It'll depend really. Yeah, but like I said, the biggest issue for those three and why I think it's going to be closer and harder for Max, for specifically Max and maybe for Leclerc if Ferrari have the same thing, is like I said, if you have a bad race where you finish 7th and like George is just consistently 4th or 5th, the difference in points between third and fourth or third and fifth isn't enough to kind of swing it back then from those big drop offs. So it's not like last year when, like I said, you could have a seventh and then you're getting a 25 points and George is only getting 10 and it's a 15-point swing or something. It's like when you're only talking about 3 points a race, it's way harder to gain that back. It's more about consistency than peaks, you know. So
let's see. Moving on. The rookies, by the way, and there are a lot of them. I'm not going to ask which has been the most impressive until now. I'm going to ask a different question. When it comes to the end of the season, who are you predicting to be the most impressive rookie?
Colapinto.
You know who the rookies are, right?
Yeah. It's Colapinto. 100%, yeah.
Oh, okay. By the way, I think I haven't told you, he's apparently he's being chucked off by the end of the season.
Yeah, well, at the end of the season. He'll get to the end of the season. By which point he will have a contract with Red Bull or Ferrari or Mercedes or McLaren, I'd say. Because, look, it's clearly the team's fault. He'll turn it around. You know, in Argentina, we trust. Argentina won the Falklands, right? Anyway, no, I think it's going to be a struggle for him to be the most impressive. I think if I was a betting man, I reckon Antonelli will probably turn it around and start being very, very impressive by the end of the season. I don't think it's going to be Behrman.
With George,
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Behrman. He's had a strange season. We'll see, but I don't think so. It's not going to be Doohan. Let's be honest here. I know, yeah. It'll either be Hajar, Bortoleto, or Antonelli. I'm going to say Antonelli, but one of those three. But yeah,
I think it could be Bortoleto because he's gaining momentum. I don't think it's going to be Hajar because Liam is finally getting his groove back. I won't be surprised if it's Kimi Antonelli. I won't be surprised if he gets a podium or maybe a couple of them, you know, in the next 10 races. I think the first 14 races they have been a bit of this, a bit of that, but there is a lot of learning that goes into it. And I think people are discounting the amount of learning that he's had to do when it comes to this series. And the fact that the upgrade was dog shit, it basically made him completely change his driving style, which he wasn't able to do it. George was able to adapt a bit better because, well, he's been part of the team since forever. You add all of this, there is the raw pace is there. My only question with Kimi when it comes to it is I don't know if he has the steeliness of a Max Verstappen or a Alonso or a Lewis or a Vettel, which we used to see from them early in their careers. I think Kimi is more laid back when it comes to that. He's fast, but he's more laid back. Let's see. But I think if I have to make a pick, I'll say it's going to be Kimi. I'm going with Kimi as well. Yeah. I won't be surprised if it's Bortoleto, by the way, because
neither would I. That wouldn't surprise me.
The momentum is
very good.
Yeah. He's surprised a lot of people, by the way. A lot of people. And I think he might have even surprised McLaren to a certain extent because they've let him go to Audi. Yeah. They might need him back. If not him, maybe Alex. What's his
Alex
name?
Dunn.
Alex Dunn. Yeah, he might be another one.
Well, I'm hoping Alex Dunn will be at a Red Bull next year or something. He's McLaren. But yeah,
he might he might go to Alpine. He's the one who's actually touted to go to Alpine if Franco.
Well, now that Bottas and Perez are basically looking at Alpine and going, no thanks.
That could be on the table.
I mean, Alpine could be good next year if they're run by a certain CBE.
He's CBE?
Yeah, he's CBE, right? Christian
I have
Horner.
no idea. Something of the British Empire.
Yeah, commander of the British Empire.
He's the commander.
But that's what the title is, right? It's.
I have no idea.
I think. I know he has an OBE anyway, right? Or am I wrong?
What is OBE then? Officer.
Officer of the Order of the British Empire, and then so he got that in 2013 for services to motorsport, and then he got CBE, Commander of the Order of the British Empire,
Who the fuck
in
cares about
2024. Don't know. What's really going to annoy people is if he comes back and turns a British team around like Alpine and wins championships, they'll definitely make him Sir Christian Horner. No, I mean, if he buys it out and it's not Alpine anymore, it's then an
Is Ron
Enstone team.
Dennis sir?
I don't think so. I think Ron Dennis is Yeah, why does certain people get sirs and not others? Yeah, Sir
Yeah.
Ron Dennis. Sir Ron Dennis, yeah.
Oh, he's also.
Yeah, he was knighted.
Jackie Stewart was. Frank
Yeah,
Williams was also a sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the nonsense is. I've never been a huge fan of all that.
No. I can technically get one as a British citizen, but if I wanted to.
Why would you want something like that?
I don't. I'm just saying, just in case the king is listening. I have got dual citizenship. I never took a passport or anything, and I don't want one. But if you offer me a knighthood, I'll happily become British.
I'll ask how much money are you going to give as part of it.
I'm just saying it'd be funny because when I make fun of Hamilton fans, they'll be like, "Well, he's a sir," and I'll be like,
I have a photograph to show you.
"Yeah."
Yeah. Coming back.
Here
to,
I am with the pedo prince getting knighted. Anyway, sorry.
What's his name?
Andrew. Yeah. He doesn't
By
like
the way,
people.
he's
I was
not.
joking.
Don't you dare. He was a perfect gentleman, perfectly British.
He's touching
Have you
people with
not-
his other sword. Anyway, right, moving on.
He used the sword only for the noble purpose. So
Oh God. Let's
Only noble purpose.
yeah.
Let's talk about the championship.
Yeah, let's get off this island.
Yeah.
Right.
Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. First of all, by the way, there's a lot of people that have actually looked at the whole thing that since Canada, the last 4 races, Lando has won 3 of them. Oscar has won 1. The gap has shrunk, and it has shrunk, I think, 10, 15 points or
So
something.
are you saying that Oscar's a midfield driver at best then?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
My point is, even though the gap has shrunk, Lando has won. I think we are overlooking a couple of basic things. Oscar has been very unlucky.
Yeah.
In Silverstone, he probably should not have got a penalty, or if he did, it was a very silly one.
It was handled poorly even. Like we're not going to go back into it, but the stupid decision to say, we would have given him a penalty for that, but we let it go, in my opinion, is if it was supposed to be a penalty, either give it or at least give the team a warning to say, look, that was over the line. You can't just go, it doesn't make any sense. But
Exactly.
Anyway.
And the other one was Hungary, where the strategy kind of went against him. So
Yeah.
it's not
Which is going to happen this year with the way the team's
lot.
playing it. Yeah.
a lot. And the thing is,
I'm okay with that.
if you look at it in terms of pace, performance, and keeping your head when things go wrong, it's usually Oscar that is getting it done still, even though the gap is just 9 points. I think that's a very big thing that a lot of people have maybe not noticed necessarily. And that just makes me pick Oscar. And if I have to make a prediction right now, how the dynamics are going to evolve, I think Oscar is going to be a bit more steely in the next 10 races. The whole friendship angle that has been there, it will continue. The relationship will still be good. But you'll see Oscar slowly ramping things up in terms of the heat is going to rise now.
Yeah.
We're
He'll
going
put
to
more
see
pressure
that.
on him.
Yeah. And I don't think Lando has ever been in a championship of that kind. People forget Oscar has come to Formula One after winning 2 hard-fought championships. In Formula 3, in the last race, he won the championship by 1 point. The driver who finished third was 2 points behind. So it's basically 1 point, 2 point behind. That's it. That was the gap. And even in Formula 2, he dominated. So he's come through a feeder series where he's fought for championships. Lando has dominated his way through.
Yeah.
And that is a different kind of nurturing which he's had.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he's up for it. That's my worry.
Yeah. Look, I think the thing is, I think it's going to be closer than maybe we expected at the start of the year. I think that kind of goes without saying, because I think as the season kicked off and with Norris's problems and so on, I did kind of think Oscar was just going to run away with this. I do think it's going to be a lot closer now than I first expected. But yeah, I think Oscar just has those things where I think as the pressure mounts, as we get closer to the end of the season, that's where Oscar is going to shine. Like in those moments where you just need to kind of stay calm, relax, put your head down and make the best of like a bad weekend. That's where Oscar's going to do well. Whereas I could see Lando having like some spectacular weekends and then throwing away the championship because there's 2 or 3 weekends where things go wrong for Lando. And instead of picking up a second place or a third, he lets the pressure mount and ends up like 7th or 8th, you know, like just making silly mistakes under the pressure. Whereas I just don't see Oscar doing that. Like Oscar will go, fuck, that strategy got away from me, but I still finished second. That penalty was bad, but I still finished second. You know, like I think Lando's bottoms are going to be worse than Oscar's basically.
Oscars, that was weird use of
I know. I'm trying to think of what I was trying to say, and my brain's not working. But
understandable on that one.
Sorry, Lando's lows are going to be lower. Is what I meant to say.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Bottoms. There's one good point actually that Hinchcliffe made, not the Tony one. So according
this is about
to
Puerto
him,
Rico. Oh right.
Yeah, the Canadian, the good one. So
hey, Tony Hinchcliffe is very funny.
Yeah, but he's not Canadian. that gives him. So according to Hinchcliffe, what's his first name?
James.
Okay. So James Hinchcliffe.
You said it earlier.
I'm not entirely sure it's James.
I'm pretty sure it's James. Yeah.
So Hinch said
it's
that
James Hinchcliffe. I'm sure it's James.
So
Hinchcliffe.
Hinch said that
yes, it is.
when it comes to Lando, people say that he makes errors when he's under pressure. I said that that's maybe not the correct notion.
Mm-hmm.
According to him, whenever Lando puts pressure on himself, that's when he makes mistakes. When the pressure is from the outside, he's pretty much perfect. And he gave the example of the race in Austria, where he was pretty much throughout the race, the battle with Oscar Piastri. He held him off perfectly. Then he also gave the example of Hungary, where he had to be pitch perfect. And he did that. When Lando makes errors, it's usually when it's the final lap in qualifying or the start of the race where he's demanding himself to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was an interesting bit. I mean, even then it doesn't change a lot of things in the sense because you still have to make sure that you nail the qualifying lap and you have to put pressure on yourself or you have to aim for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, still.
I mean, look, the other side is we could get in situations like last year where Lando, when he's really fast, is really fucking fast. And there could be situations where, you know, like last year we did have situations where Lando dominated races and Oscar was in P4, P3. Like, it's unlikely given Oscar's step, but that could happen. Like, I don't know. I don't want to count Lando out. I'm just thinking in terms of odds.
It's
at the
one
moment,
DNF.
it just and but at the moment, it just seems like Oscar is doing a better job. But that could swing, like, you know, that could swing massively. Lando could come back with a confidence and, you know, start winning race after race after race, and all of a sudden it's not a case of we think that Oscar loses the championship. You know, it's Lando properly wins it. Because at the moment, it feels like to me, the way Lando wins this is Oscar loses it. Like Oscar loses it here or there. But it could go the other way.
A lot more question marks on... I think in a nutshell, if we have to talk about the title battle, just to sum it up, there are far more question marks when it comes to Lando than when it comes to Oscar. Because we know what Oscar is going to do. It's pretty much a stable baseline that is found, and he's continually... Because, you know, I was just doing a basic analysis of it. You don't really look at races where you can say that Oscar has made a major error. Or he's been off the pace. None of that. Throughout the season, there haven't been races where you can say that he's not nailed the setup or something like that. Every race weekend, he's pretty much there and thereabouts. The errors is probably the one in Australia where it was wet. It happens. Other than that, maybe the race win in Silverstone, again, it happens. It's rare.
Yep.
You move that aside, there's nothing. And on the other hand, Lando has had some glaring errors. There have been crashes in Saudi Arabia.
Canada was quite bad.
Canada, basically a self-immolation of sorts. That's why,
actually,
you know...
And if that hadn't happened, they'd be a lot closer now as well. So
he'd be leading the championship.
Yeah.
Actually, he would have finished 5th, and that means 12 or 10 points. Right?
He'd be ahead by 3 or something, yeah. 2 or 3.
He's 9 points behind right now.
Right, okay. Yeah.
See,
I mean, look, the thing is, we could see, like, Lando could easily have. I mean, let's not forget. Like last year, he won this race coming up by 22 seconds. He won Baku by 22 seconds. Again,
No. Silverstone. Sorry, Singapore.
Or Singapore. Sorry, Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like those things could happen, and Oscar could have bad weekends as well. I think it is a case of we just kind of assume now because Oscar has made that step that it's more Oscars to lose than it is Lando's to win.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, that so many times in F1 that has changed over the years. I mean, look, 2021 is a prime example of like midway through the season, you would have assumed Max was going to run away with it, and look what happened. I know
Lewis
there's
was going to run away. Yeah.
Well, no, Lewis at the end of the season, right? Because at the start of the season, Max started
Midway point, Lewis was leading the championship, right?
No, midway
Hungary.
point, I think. Oh, okay.
Max
by that
had
midway
those
point,
two.
yeah. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, pre-Silverstone, it looked like Max was going to run away with it.
Yeah, he was far ahead.
Yeah, 33 points.
That's why still the whole Silverstone and the shenanigans. It's not usual for me to actually switch off a race, disgusted. Probably the last time I did was in Silverstone 2021.
Yeah,
I just hated the way the whole thing was going on.
it's a good segue though. Lewis Hamilton.
Exactly. Baxter and Shariar got in a huge debate with me about Lewis. Yeah. Anyways, I'll tell you off off the record, but whatever it
Get
was.
them on the podcast. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's not happening. I'll also tell you after the pod. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So first of all, if we're going to talk about Lewis, what do you make of all the excuses from the media? Because they piss me off. Go for it first.
I don't know. Like Lewis has been in the excuse championship since 2022 now, and I think he's been winning every year. So I don't know. Like whether it's coming from Lewis or the media or the team, it's just I don't know. Like how many excuses can you give before you just say, look, just get faster or get better or adapt? Like I don't know. Like it just seems to me like if he couldn't adapt at Mercedes to the car, he's not going to this year at Ferrari. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better because I think even if he adapts over the second half of the season, Leclerc now is on form, so he's just going to look bad by Leclerc's standards anyway, I think. Lewis isn't going anywhere for 2026 anyway. I think that much is obvious. Like he's obviously going to stick around because he assumes the problems are probably in his head with these cars, and he assumes that's all going to change next year maybe. Or at least if he can't fix it with these cars, he'll hope that's the situation. I don't think it sticks around much longer after that because no matter who... I'm sorry, Hamilton fans. We've said this a million times before. No one is bigger than Ferrari. And even if you don't believe that, Ferrari believes that. And Ferrari will see it as, if we're spending a fortune on a driver and he's not delivering and he's saying bad things about Ferrari, that driver's going to get replaced pretty quickly. So it doesn't matter what they've... And like, it's not like Lewis has done a ton for the team so far. Like... Vettel was dropped very, very quickly once they had Leclerc there, and once Vettel said even one bad thing about the team, even after Vettel won them tons and tons of races, he was just gone and just basically kicked out. So it doesn't matter how big of a star Lewis is, like Ferrari don't give a shit because Ferrari are bigger. And like I said, whether you agree with that doesn't really matter. Ferrari think that because if they didn't, they, like they imposed this on Leclerc, and Leclerc's done lots for that team. So I think, I can't see, unless things drastically change next year, I think the days are numbered for Hamilton. And I'm starting to think like it won't be his choice at this point. That's how bad it's been going. And like, it's kind of crazy to me that one of the most experienced drivers on the grid who is statistically the best driver of all time is the driver who's changed, who's struggling the most. Like, it's kind of wild.
I think it's even the case of him struggling the most. I think he's the one who's complained the most. Which is probably the more... Look, he left after what? I think he had spent 13 years driving for Mercedes.
12, right?
Mercedes power which more than a decade.
Yeah.
Ocon also moved after, I think, 6 years or something at Alpine. And 6 years at Alpine, it takes a part of your soul.
It's like...
And
like 40 in dog years. Yeah.
Exactly. And once you've done that, he has made the move. And you don't hear the kind of complaints You don't hear, because what we've seen this season is there have been complaints about everything. There have been complaints about the car's adaptability. There have been complaints about the race engineer. There have been complaints about a lack of chemistry between the two. There are complaints about brakes. There are complaints about, again, all of these could be legitimate. The
Yeah,
power
yeah,
unit as well. These are all, you can say, okay, these things are there. But that's where your adaptation comes into the picture.
yeah.
Once you're talking about Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, you also have to question where's the adaptability. And
Mm-hmm.
if it is not there, look, there's an easier way to go about it. Just say that, okay, Charles was faster.
Yeah,
You do that and you say that, okay, I'm working on it, I'm improving. But it becomes a bit, I don't know, it becomes far too repetitive. And this is something that we've seen for the last few years, where every time we are talking about things in a manner that, okay, if this fixes, I'll be back to my best. If this happens, I'll be back to my best. And it's not going to work that way, because if this thing works for you, there might be ABC things that work for Leclerc. What then? You
mm-hmm.
cannot you at some point you have to face reality, and the
Yeah,
reality is that, look, you're not driving at the same level as Leclerc. It's been 14 races, and if after 14 races you find yourself where you do, it's concerning. And I think it will be concerning for Ferrari as well, because spending money, marketing dollars, whatever,
yeah,
you cannot, this is not sustainable.
yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, it's just also as well. Like, I mean, the argument last year was always, we talked about like who, the argument from fans that we had discussed a few times is like who owes who more, like Mercedes or Lewis, right? And
Yeah.
like that's a debate you could have, right? And
No,
in my view, no, I'm
no,
just saying
not with sensible people.
in no, of course, but in my view it was Mercedes. In your view it was Mercedes. Logically, it's Mercedes. Oh, like, or Lewis owes
The right
Mercedes
answer
more.
is Mercedes.
Yeah, yeah. But the point is, you could reasonably have that debate, even though anyone who agrees it was Lewis is wrong. But my point is, there is some evidence there that you could make to have an actual argument. There is zero reason why Ferrari owes Lewis anything at the moment. And this is the problem Lewis is going to find himself in, where, and I think it's going to be an interesting one
I think he
because,
found it in Hungary.
yeah,
The
it's like,
lashing out thing was, he's facing some pressure internally now because it's been a bit too long. And that's, and again, Fred is handling it as well as he can. But the thing is, there's too much mess that Lewis makes in the media that he has to cover up, and you don't want that. It could
yeah,
easily be a case of Lewis coming in and saying, okay, I did a bad job, I'm a couple of tenths off, I'll continue working and get better.
yeah,
But you're not doing that, in terms of you're not even talking on those lines, which makes it a bit hard for even, you want people to support. Look, a Formula One grid is better and richer with Lewis Hamilton
yeah,
present,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But at some point you have to question what should be the kind of performance metric that you should measure it against. Either take a role of being the, let's say, a role that probably a Nico Hulkenberg is going to play at Sauber in the future, where he's going to be a mentor to Gabriel Bortoleto, who's going to be the main lead.
Yep.
Maybe take that role up. And I don't know if he's willing to do that. And this was a wild idea, by the way, which was brought up by, again, someone. I actually read it on X. What if, look, if Lewis Hamilton has to win the championship, there's only one way which is possible right now. Leave Ferrari, because at Ferrari, it's not going to happen. Go to a team like Audi, which has already showed that it has the foundations. Spend 2 to 3 years, do something that Alonso did. Grow with the team, build it entirely around you, and then win.
Yep.
What's your view?
Retire.
Why?
Just retire. Like, what's the point? I mean,
$100 million. That's the point.
sure.
Give me that money. I'll also lose to Charles Leclerc for 14
Yeah.
races.
I'll happily lose a Charles Leclerc for $100 million.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like,
because first of all, Lewis isn't washed. He's just not as good as a proper elite in Formula One. That's what I look at.
Yeah.
And if you're, and again, Same thing could be the case with Alonso, but he's positioned himself in such a manner that if in 2026 he has a title contending car, he's got dibs on it, and he can win a title and just fuck off.
Yeah.
Right?
And also the thing is as well, like the problem is as well, look, we don't have anyone really to compare it to because he's alongside Stroll. But from what we've seen and from what the engineers have talked about, and there's some very good engineers at Red Bull, or sorry, Aston Martin.
Aston.
When the car is good, Alonso performs spectacularly, right? And like, this is why Stroll looks so bad, because when the car is good, every weekend Alonso is there. And Stroll has one weekend every 14 years where he shows what he can do. And that's it. So like, when we're talking about like at the start of the season in 2023, right? Alonso was getting podium after podium, yeah? So, and then Stroll is nowhere near the podium. And then you go, well, why is Stroll even driving that car? Like, give that seat to someone better, yeah? This year, Leclerc has 5 podiums, and the guy you're paying 100 million... I think it's 5. Let me check. I'll check for you now.
It's 4. I think it's 4.
1, 2, 3, 4... It's 5. 5 podiums.
5. He has 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
He
a lot.
had podium at Saudi Arabia, Monaco, Spain, Austria, and Belgium. And he was 4th then in 3 other races.
Yeah.
But Hamilton's also been 4th in 3 races. But the point is, like,
He's been 4th in 3 races.
yeah, at Imola, Austria, and Britain.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is, like, in the situation with Alonso and Stroll, when Alonso's finishing 2nd or 3rd, right, and Stroll's finishing 7th, you're like, why is Stroll even in that car, right? It's like, 'cause his dad owns the team. Same this year. Leclerc is 5 podiums, and in each of those races, I've got the results up here. So Leclerc finishes 3rd in Saudi Arabia, Hamilton 7th. Fine. It's in the first 5 races. Give him some time. Whatever. Monaco, Leclerc is 2nd. By that race, you're into what, race 6, 7, 8, something like that? Hamilton's 5th. Then you go to Spain. Leclerc is 3rd, Hamilton 6th. In Austria, it's 3rd and 4th. That's kind of like, fine, fair enough, you know? But then you get to Belgium, it's 3rd and 7th. In Hungary, it's 4th and 12th. So it's just this situation where, for me, it's like, if that's not acceptable for someone like Stroll, why is it acceptable that you've brought in a 7-time world champion on $100 million a year, whatever it is, right? And he's performing exactly like Stroll did compared to Alonso. Like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough for Ferrari. It's not good enough for Hamilton. And to be honest, I just don't know if like those sorts of results are a situation where I don't think that that's changing in 2026. Like, I don't think at this point you can blame the car. And to be honest, it's like, even if it is this generation, every other driver has adapted to this generation. It's been fucking 4 seasons. So if you can't adapt to this generation, then Ferrari's going to be thinking to themselves, well, like, if he can't adapt next year, like, what happens then? Like, we've just wasted a ton of money, you know, like, it's done nothing for us. And yeah, the stock market went up, didn't it? That was all on Hamilton, sure. I don't know. I just think there's a big difference in, like, people will call out in the thing, well, what about Alonso earlier this year? It's like, sure, that was for like 6 races. And second of all,
No. I know it's wrong. I hate the comparison because
and it was luck. A lot of it was luck as well. There was the car adaptation.
Stroll never beat Alonso head to head even once.
But also, even if you wanted to argue that he did, right? I agree. It's a wrong. There's context. There's all these different things.
It's
even if you just wanted to take
one to that one.
Sure, but even if you wanted to just take it as results, first of all, fine. If we're going to do it that way, then let's lose all context and just say, well, then Hamilton is the same as Stroll this year. Fine, as I just did, right? So if you want to have that argument, then fine. The other thing is, though, one is driving for Ferrari, one is driving for a midfield team. The stakes are a lot higher. One is on a $100 million contract to drive for Ferrari. The other one is at the end of his career trying to just pull a team up from nowhere. So the stakes are completely different. Yeah. So if Hamilton was driving for Sauber right now, fair enough, like, whatever. You know, like, if he was driving for Alpine right now, Audi, or like, you know, joining Cadillac next year, it'd be like, okay, that's fine. This is great. He's bringing experience. He went to Ferrari to deliver results and kicked out a guy who was delivering results. And he's performing arguably worse than the guy who he replaced.
Where do you rate him right now in terms of driving ability on the grid
I want to make it clear this is
in
not
terms of tier
overall
list.
career. I just mean in terms
No,
of
for
like
right now.
this season.
Yeah. This season, or you can say the last 3-4 years. In the tier list,
This
if you have
season
to
in
create a tier list,
This season in particular, he's not even in the top tier for me.
yeah.
So
Who
he's
are,
like,
who are the drivers in your top tier?
so you've got obviously Oscar and Lando, right? Are there? I'm not saying this isn't in order, but anyway, for anyone arguing, Oscar, Lando, George, Max, who else? Leclerc, obviously, and then I'd say Alonso's still hanging on to it. He just hasn't got the machinery to show it, but he's constantly doing drives that just, you know, like Hungary is a perfect example. That car didn't deserve to be there, and he was brilliant. And like I said, if Hamilton was doing that, that would be like, even if the car was shit, it'd be like amazing, like fucking top tier. But he's not. So I think Alonso is still there. I really want to see Alonso actually like in a race winning car to see how far off his peak he is, because he's definitely has dropped. But it's just Alonso's. Because like Alonso, the thing for me I go back to is like 2023. Alonso was a midfield driver before that, like as in the midfield. He got beaten by Ocon, but look at the bad luck he had there as well with DNFs and so on in the Alpine, for example. But then 2023, he gets a car that can be on the podium, and he's on the fucking podium pretty much every weekend. And then the car drops, and he's not on the podium anymore. So it seems to me like Alonso is still pretty good at like whatever the car can do. Alonso is going to be pretty close to that.
Yeah.
So whereas Hamilton, that's just not the case, because he's had Leclerc and George who've shown that that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know? So
Where do you put Lewis?
Below those. I don't know how far down I want to go, because I don't want to go crazy on it, but he's not in my top 10 this year. Let's put it that way.
In the last 3 years, roughly, if you have to put him in that category.
P8, P9 on the grid.
Okay, that's even lower than where I would go.
It's just because he's had a couple of peaks, but so have a lot of other drivers. So, like,
I can
Sainz
understand.
has had wins. Like, are we putting Sainz above that? Like, I don't know. Like,
Science is above Lewis.
I think so
least.
too. But like, my point is, people will be like, oh, what about this win and this win? It's like, well, then what about Sainz's wins, for example? And you said,
My thing with Lewis is that having the best drivers in Formula One, like top 2-3, that's what George and Leclerc are. They're making Lewis look a bit worse than he is. I think if he's put in a scenario where he's basically the lead driver, where everything is catered to him, that's why I said he should ideally, what he should do is he should just pack his bags from Ferrari, just jump to Audi, have blind faith in that project, give it 3 years. Because look, if you want to invest your time, then invest it somewhere where you think it's going to be if somehow you luck into a good car, you will be able to win. That is something that your mindset needs to be. And if he does that, he jumps to Audi, builds the entire team around him, basically chucks off both Hulkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto because they might beat him, puts in someone else, maybe brings in Bottas, and then they build the entire team around themselves, help the team grow, and if it reaches a point where they have the fastest car, he'll win. He'll win the championship. And I think to a certain extent, even Alonso has done that. We don't know exactly where he is in terms of performance, but I think it won't be a surprise if he's not on the level of your Max, Charles, George. Maybe. Right? And that's where I think Lewis can, if he's willing to extend his career. If he comes from the school of thought where he has to be the best driver on the grid, if he's not, then he's done. Then I think it's time he's done. That's how I would put it.
I don't think Lewis wants to have a like Alonso, like Seb post career, you know, that way. Like, I think like Seb basically when
they
he
are
left,
going on their own. They went on their own.
But like my point is, I don't think Lewis wants to go to a midfield team and build it up. Like, I just don't think that's the case. Whereas I think Alonso was very much like the only thing he wanted to do was race, so he just came back year after year. Raikkonen was similar as well, just paycheck and like having some fun in cars. Fine. You know, like, I'm happy with this. The occasional win or podium here or there is fine. I don't think Lewis wants to be that driver.
Waves.
I don't think Lewis wants to be that driver, so I just don't think, I don't know, like, He'll probably stick around though because he won't want to give up. But
That's the thing. I don't think sticking around at Ferrari is the right way, but I
I don't think
if he
he'll have the
wants
option
to.
next year if this continues. Frankly,
Okay, let's make a final prediction and then wrap it up with Lewis. How do you think his next 1 year from here goes?
I
First,
don't
how
think.
this year ends, then how the next year begins. And by the summer break, where do you find him?
I don't think next year goes better for him. And no, sorry, let me correct. I think it goes better for him in terms of I think it's a fresh slate and I think it'll help his confidence. But I think the comparison to Leclerc will still see him not do like he'll still be this far off Leclerc. And the reason I think that is I think Hamilton is very much at the moment probably in the position of trying to push what he wants on the 2026 car. And I think that'll hurt his confidence when next year first of all, Ferrari fucked that up. And second of all, whatever car they get, Leclerc will just do what Leclerc does. It'll show up and it won't be perfectly to what Hamilton wants because it never will be. And Leclerc will adapt to it quicker than Hamilton will. And I think that, like what happened with Ricciardo, will completely fucking destroy his confidence. And I think I could see things get worse. And that's where I think if he doesn't turn things around between now and midway through 2026, I don't see Ferrari keeping him on and keeping the option because it's a lot of money for Ferrari when he's not beating their quote unquote number one driver, like, or, you know, maybe their number two driver given on who's being paid more. So like,
I think they'll buy him out or something. Cause
especially
I
if he
think
keeps
the
saying shit
option
like
is
this,
on
by the
him.
way, that's going to
Yeah,
be the biggest point.
yeah,
Ferrari don't put up with that shit. I don't care who you are.
yeah.
Ferrari just
They'll.
don't.
I mean, Kimi, 2009, right?
Yeah.
Basically paid him off.
Unless,
It's
like, if he can say shit when he's winning races every weekend. If he's not winning races every weekend, if he's underperforming Leclerc, it's like, stay quiet. Like, they're not going to put up with that.
yeah,
And I think
yeah. I agree.
Hamilton's used to Mercedes who put up with that. And
They put up with a lot of
Ferrari
bullshit,
won't.
honestly.
Yeah, Ferrari won't. So,
Yeah, I think by the time the season ends, I think the gap will increase in terms of points. I think Lewis, after the first few races, he's going to write off the season. Pretty much, that there'll be the same repeat of because look, he's not going to invest a lot of energy on a car which is not going to be there next season anyways.
yeah.
So he's not going to think it's worth the time. Then once the season ends, I think the next season is going to be the one where in the first half of the season, if I'm right, I might be wrong completely. First of all, I don't see Ferrari having a good 2026.
No,
So they
neither do
won't
I.
be in a position to hold all the cards. First thing that's going to happen is I think Charles is going to, if a seat opens up, I think he'll probably by the first half of the season he'll be done.
Mhm.
And once he's done, I think that might give Lewis a bit of a lifeline in terms of continuing because Ferrari would want some semblance of continuity.
Maybe.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
at that point, I think entirely Lewis's future depends on who is going to replace Charles.
Mhm.
Because if he's replaced by, I keep talking about it, if he's replaced by Max, which is not going to happen as it seems, but if he's replaced by a Max or a George, or who else? Who else is Ferrari going to put? I don't think they're going to put Ollie Behrman in. He's too raw
No.
right now.
Unless Max and George are at Mercedes and they grab Kimi.
Mhm.
Unlikely, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's like you're gonna have like a very experienced Bortoletto by then, who I know will be at Audi, but I mean
Bunny.
he's you know
I think so.
there's Franco Colapinto obviously always gonna be on the cards. I don't like there's who knows like there's gonna be a lot of options by next season, and like you're also
Oh,
gonna have
I'm actually surprised. Who
you're
is
gonna
going
have
to be
two
the
new
option?
world champions as well. Like
Two
that
new
are
world champions, is it?
yeah
Oh, by the end of 2026, you're saying?
yeah. So
Ah.
you could have Alex Palou.
No, you're right. You're right about that because no, sorry. He's going to be at Red Bull. Sorry, I'm
Well, unless
miscalculating.
Red Bull are really shit and he beats Max, and then
That's a lot of things that have to
yeah.
happen.
No, look, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the other thing Ferrari could do is a very Ferrari thing, which is by the end of next season, there's no Fred, no Leclerc, no Hamilton, and they're just like, we need a fresh start completely. This hasn't been going right.
But who is going to drive for them? The problem is who's going to drive for them.
There's
That's
always
the thing.
drivers for Ferrari.
Who? As I said,
They'll
I
bring
don't-
Lauda back from the dead. Look, this is Ferrari.
Yeah. I think the Lewis Hamilton retirement is not a certainty. It depends if Leclerc stays at Ferrari, Lewis will not.
yeah.
He'll be retired. If Leclerc is pulling the trigger early in 2026, that's when you see him basically
really
being
depends,
pushed
yeah.
out. Yeah.
It also depends. He could turn things around next year. I just, at the moment, I'm not. I'm about as optimistic of Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton in 2026 as I was of Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton in 2025, which
There's
was
a problem,
not optimistic at all.
You know, the problem with all of this is we saw Michael turn it around because Michael's 2010 was poor. Again, he came in half cooked. Then 2011 was much better. I think he scored almost similar point. I think he was 10 points behind Nico.
Yeah.
By 2013, in terms of pace and performance, he was neck and neck with Nico. It was just that he was ridiculously unlucky in almost every race for the first half of the season. And that kind of made him just call time. He was tired. He didn't really want to spend more time racing.
Yeah.
So he did that and again, this is something that comes from James Vowles, by continuously working on the car, on himself, making improvements, and creating an environment where the team wanted him to win. I mean, this is what James says, right? In that clip that you shared, that the regret for James is that Michael never won a race with them for Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I don't think Lewis is that. He belongs to that category of drivers where they work their asses off, and in terms of having the technical acumen, they are able to do that, make those incremental gains. That's why I don't
He
think
also
he'll be able
just
to do that.
he seems unwilling. Like James Vowles as well. He obviously didn't say it in these words, but it's like James Vowles in that clip or in that podcast was like, Hamilton would go out on track and just like switch everything around until he got the car to move the way he wanted.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the conversations I've heard as well is like, yes, Lewis is a hard worker, but he's uncompromising with the team. So he's not like, he wants everything to move to how he wants it. And he's not kind of willing to meet the team in the middle. And with certain regulation sets and with certain, like if you don't have a big advantage in car in some way, you can't do that all the time. Like you need to adapt. So if you're unwilling to adapt, that just isn't going to work, you know? So,
Yeah. That's
and it just from everything we hear, Leclerc just hops in the car in FP1, says like, what's best from the data? And they're like, this is the best setup according to our, it's like, cool, I'll just get that to work. And then Hamilton finds himself spending the entire free practice sets and into qualifying trying to fiddle around with the setup.
Yeah, it's been years.
Same thing.
We've heard him say that we made the changes and the car got worse. You can literally use this code for almost every race last couple of years.
And I think the problem is like similar to say Red Bull in 2023, you've got a car that can operate still being the fastest in quite a wide window. And the way a Mercedes engineer used to talk, I can't remember his name now, but he used to talk to, he always said like Mercedes always started with trying to have as wide a window as possible and then narrowing it in. I think it was, and maybe it was Red Bull that did that. But anyway, they had quite a wide operating window generally. So he could operate within that with, bringing it to his style. Whereas with these cars, you don't have that wide operating window, especially when they're so close. So like it's either adapt or you don't. And
yeah, it's the don't right now.
At the moment, he's just unwilling or unable. And
Yeah.
I'm starting to think it's unable because...
Yeah. Moving on. Now, finally, Dutch
Questions.
Grand Prix this weekend.
Oh,
One
yeah,
question
yeah.
before we head to the predictions. It's going to be off the calendar for next season.
Mm-hmm.
Your view, good, bad, what?
Kind of bad. It is a fun track and it's a fun environment that, like you see around the
Environment is
track.
fun, yeah.
The track itself is good, not great for overtaking because it's very narrow at these cars. It's a track I wouldn't like. I'm kind of in two minds. I like it. It's entertaining. I like the track. I like the layout. Is it the best for modern Formula One cars? No. Is any track good
I
for
almost
Formula
feel
One
it's
cars?
risky.
No.
Dangerous.
I would keep it though, but I'm also not that torn by it going either.
Exactly.
I would rather they take the money from that and say, you know what, Malaysia will let you just host a race for free. That would be
75
great.
million hosting fee, by the way.
Yeah, for Zandvoort.
Malaysia. They've been
Malaysia's
asked to-
300 and something, right? I thought something crazy.
No, initial. Yeah, there's a 3 installment thing when it comes to your site fee. I'm forgetting. There are 3 segments of the fees that a particular event will have to pay initially to Formula
Yeah.
One to actually host a race.
Mhm.
And I think one segment of it was 75 million. The total was 332. I'm
Yeah,
not,
something like
I
that.
don't
300
remember.
and something anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind, and ridiculous.
So
330
what's,
million.
do we know what Zandvoort's being replaced with?
I don't remember. I think we won't even have Spa next season, right?
I think Spa is going to be one that's going to alternate, right? I think
Yeah.
is the plan.
What's the
But then-
2024 calendar? One sec.
The 26 calendar is the
26
2026 calendar out yet, or
I think it might be. Yeah, 26 is out.
yeah? Let's have a look. So Belgium's going to be there, yeah. Spain, Netherlands is there.
Okay, so it's there for 2026. It won't be there for 27.
Okay,
Then 26 will be the last race. Yeah, and yeah, I think 26 will be the last race. Beyond that, there will be
yeah,
There will
yeah.
be
Dutch
New
Grand
York,
Prix will be
apparently.
gone from 2027. So
yeah. I think there'll be
Yeah.
New York is one of them.
Mhm.
I think we might have. I'm not entirely sure, but apparently Ahmed was saying on X that Jeddah will have 2 races.
Mhm.
There's a new track that they're building, which is also apparently a good one.
Yeah,
But yeah, more races in the Middle East.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't
just
mind, by the way.
yeah.
If I get
just
my FIA accreditation next season, I might be. It would be like 2 to 3 hour drive, not drive, but 2 to 3 hour flight.
yeah.
Much easier for me to go.
Just bring back Portimao, Malaysia, be great. Yeah.
India, Turkey,
India, yeah, Germany,
Turkey. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Which one was it?
Then-
Is it Orban or who is the one? Erdogan. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Erdogan could spend some money and bringing back Turkey, but
Yeah. Personally,
Anyway.
I'm looking forward to the Trump Mar-a-Lago Grand Prix, which
there's
is
going to be one in New York, right?
no, because Trump Mar-a-Lago Grand Prix is going to be way
Or
more
Chicago.
fun because it's going to go through the Golden Curve, and then you've got the Pedo Parallel, which is the main straight that goes past Epstein's old house. Yeah, it's like a Mario Kart track basically of just famous famous
Pedophiles.
perverts and pedophiles, basically. yeah. So obviously you're going to have Bill Gates Alley there, and then I think they've got the Clinton cigar at the end, basically. Yeah. So yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is not suitable for kids in any which way. I think we crossed that bridge far long.
But yeah,
too
so
far.
Dutch Grand Prix predictions, I guess we go for. Or
Yeah.
like
Okay.
order?
There have been 3 or 4 races since 2021. 4, 5 of them.
5,
I think
yeah.
Max has won all of them except the last one where
Yep.
Lando won. What do you expect this time around? Your pecking order predictions.
McLaren.
By the way, rain 80% forecast for
Yeah,
both
yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, which could be good for Max, but it depends how good the car is. I don't think the car is going to be great around
McLaren.
here. I think it's going to be McLaren. I'm thinking McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull.
Yeah. Could be.
That's my guess.
I think if
yeah.
it rains, it might hurt Ferrari a bit.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. But again, I don't think even Mercedes knows what its car will
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
That's the whole problem. I think if it rains or even if it's dry, I might put Red Bull at second because they were decent even last season as well. Not as good as McLaren, but still
Yeah,
decent.
yeah.
If it rains, it's basically a wash. You can just give McLaren the 1-2 because I don't know how they are able to fire the tires up quicker than everyone else and keep the
And
tires
still
for
have no deck.
longer.
Yeah.
It's just a cheat
It's
code. I
insane.
mean, just
Yeah.
it belies thermodynamics, but apparently that's what Rob Marshall, fucking genius,
Yeah.
how he's done that. But yeah, that's where we are. Okay, so your predictions for the race.
Top three. I'm going to say Lando wins because I think he'll have a lot of confidence from last year. And I think, yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. I do think Oscar will do better, so I think it'll be Lando and Oscar fighting for the win, and I think Lando will win this one.
Yeah.
Although who knows, he could lose it at the start again. P3, with Rain and Zandvoort, even with, do I want to put Max in third? I mean, I just don't know. I just don't think the Red Bull's going to be very good around here, and I think they've been terrible at figuring out wet weather strategy and like qualifying and everything so far.
Astounding to see
Yeah,
Red
well,
Bull. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. The last time they did good in the wet was Silverstone, and they only lost to, apart from Max spinning. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, since Horner went, it's gone to shit.
Exactly.
I'm going to put Leclerc P3 just as an outside chance.
Yeah. I think, yeah,
It's probably Max, though. But anyway.
I think it's going to be Oscar, Lando, and Max.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
top
more
three.
likely, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every race this season, every Lando track that we've gone to, Oscar has gone and beaten him, which is quite funny, actually.
I'm going to say my outside gamble for just absolutely crazy prediction. I'm going to say Hulkenberg, Alonso, Russell.
Oh, wow, if that happens. Imagine if that happens. By the way, it's going to rain, so it might bring in you might have different variables, you might have different teams making it count. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
You might even have Lewis having a good one because the last time it rained, he did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's fly through questions because we're coming up on 2 hours.
Okay,
Do we have questions?
There are a couple of them that were left. It's better we get through them.
Okay.
I mean, I hate it when people don't answer it in other podcasts, so I think it makes sense to do that.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
In the meantime, did you see this? Putin was given a Japanese Akita, by
That's
Japan
an old thing, right?
in 2012, and he brought it out. Yeah, but it's really turned me on him. I'm starting to think this Putin guy's not all bad.
You should not watch too much Tucker Carlson.
Is Tucker good? Is he?
No, he's
He believes demons
Indians
are
should not
controlling
have good
stuff.
opinion about Tucker Carlson in any which way.
As soon as he started talking about demons, I was like, yeah, whatever you're smoking, buddy, I'm out. Yeah. So
The recent guy he had who said that we should not have sided with Stalin in the Second World War, but we should have sided with Hitler. And then maybe the Holocaust would not have happened. I just saw that. Yeah, I just saw those 15 seconds. Like, he's done. This has gone too far.
But just before you get into I know this is an F1 podcast, but I have so many questions. But there's just one. When he says we, does he mean India or USA?
US.
Oh, okay, right. Well, that makes a little bit. It still makes no sense, but it makes a little bit more sense.
By the way, you do know Indian freedom fighters, they sided with both Nazis and Russians. You know that?
I just like that the Irish have an apology letter from Hitler, which is I think the
They
best
do?
thing in the world. Yeah,
Lucky guys.
because the Luftwaffe accidentally bombed Dublin, thinking it was Liverpool or
Yeah, that's
Manchester.
what I know.
Hitler sent an apology letter to the Irish government.
Let's move back to the.
Yeah. Speaking of Hitler, how do we think Flavio's going? No.
Yeah.
Go
So
on
there
anyway.
were a couple of questions from Dane Lua that were left. That's it actually, not more than that.
Okay.
So first, okay, you know what I have to say.
I love Dane Lewis
You know what I
questions.
have to say this. I know this is nothing to do with Max Verstappen, but I need you two to know this. Keep in mind, Kimi Raikkonen is slightly overrated, and it was because. Wait for it. It was because people like Nedzo. I mean, he keeps catching strays. And Kyron Smith. Kyron is, yeah, I've met him. I mean, I've chatted with him once. They ranked Kimi better than Sebastian Vettel, and they say Kimi was beating a pass, prime, and no motivation Kimi Raikkonen. That doesn't mean Kyron Smith and Nedzo have to still downgrade Sebastian Vettel and make Kimi look slightly better in comparison. It still pissed me off, and I know I will be pissed off those two. But Vettel was still the faster driver of the two from 2015 to 2018. Even in 2018, when Vettel made so many mistakes, he was still the faster driver. Okay. So for Nizzo and Kyron to downgrade Vettel time at Ferrari by saying he was beating a this is fucking stupidity and idiotic in my view. Okay, you need to call out Nizzo, Kyron Smith has a fan base, and other Kimi Raikkonen fans. Kyron has a fan base. Wow.
Everyone has 2 or 3 fans. I mean, we have more than 3. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah.
I don't think Kimi Raikkonen was overrated. I just think Kimi won his title and then said, I just want cash now.
Yeah.
That was very much because Kimi was spectacular. 2003, was it? Kimi was fighting. So
2003, 2005.
yeah. And then 2007, obviously, basically Ron Dennis handed him a title. But like, you know, he was the George Russell of 2007, essentially. You know, does
Just
nothing, wins a championship.
Just better with more aura.
Yeah.
And I mean, with a lot more, you can say, a lot more fans, to be honest. And he
then
was the most
literally-
successful.
And then literally went from being a world champion to being the world's most fun pay driver.
Yeah.
Because other drivers get their positions in Formula One by being pay drivers beforehand. He
Yeah.
wasn't a pay driver and then became one by
Yeah.
just going, "So I just want some cash. Just give me lots of." And
It's not like he didn't get enough cash. He was, I think, in 2014 when he moved to Ferrari,
he
he
nearly
was the
bankrupted
second
the
highest
Lotus
paid
F1
driver in
team.
Formula One at the time.
Yeah.
After
He
Alonso.
nearly bankrupted the Lotus F1 team.
That too.
Um,
I mean,
I
the
don't know,
man
like-
came back with a vengeance.
Like, the thing is, do I think Kimi was better than Vettel? No, of course not. Like, you know, and like, did Kimi have some peaks, like high peaks where you could say like he's on that level? Sure, yeah, definitely. Like, but no, he wasn't better. It depends on who's rating him. Like, if people are saying he's better than Vettel or Verstappen or something, then no, obviously not. Like, you know, better than Alonso? No, I don't think so. Like, but he was a spectacular driver. Like,
He was
I don't
better
know.
than Alonso in 2005 and 2003.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, in those seasons, sure. But like, he definitely, after 2007,
He
After-
checked out.
after 2007, I don't think Kimi himself expected to do anything. Kimi just showed up and went racing. And I think that's why everyone loved him. He just showed up, went racing.
Yeah.
In interviews, he said as few words as possible, and then he fucked off with his paycheck. And it was spectaculer.
And the
You
best
know?
part was he was being questioned by the media. Okay, Kimi, now you're back. So the entire race weekend, there are a lot of things that are critical. But what is the one part that you hate about Formula One? He said this.
Yeah. I just, the amount of questions where he got like very long questions,
Yeah.
and it would just be yep. It's like,
His,
Thank you, Kimi.
I think it was 2012 or something where I think his every interview answer ended with "It is what it is."
yeah.
And that's it. And like, what are you going to expect? It's just, yeah. The best part was in Japan qualifying, he crashed out of qualifying, and his crash meant yellow flag came out, and that yellow flag ruined Alonso's flying lap. So he was questioned. So Kimi, because of your crash, Alonso could not set a lap. So did you reach out to him and say something? He said, I don't care.
Yeah. It just,
And to make it worse, in the race on the very first lap, he crashed into Alonso and ended his verbs with that.
but yeah, he's, I don't know, like it was just after 2007, he was just brilliant. Like
Yeah.
before
I mean, you
2007,
could
he was a
see that he
spectacular
had talent.
driver.
He was
Yeah, yeah.
spectacular in whatever he did. It was what stood out for Kimi was when he was on form, which was basically 2-3. 2005 is probably the one season where I say that I've not seen a driver be at this level of ruthless, spectacular driving. Anyone.
Yeah.
His qualifying lap in Monaco was just a different thing because you could say that he's crashing on the first corner, second corner, third corner. He's crashing everywhere, and he just nails every bit. And I think he was 3 or 4 tenths faster than Alonso in the same, basically similar cars. and that was just what he did throughout that season. And we've seen Alonso do that to a certain extent. We've seen Vettel do that. We've seen Max do that. But that was a bit of a mystical part of him, which made him stand out. And
Yeah.
what made what made Kimi endear to a lot of fans is he should have won in 2003. He should have won in 2005. That's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
titles that were basically robbed of him.
But by the time he was at Ferrari, he did not give two fucks anymore.
Exactly.
Like that's just like one of my favorite memories of Kimi, and I think most people as well, is the Monaco boat. Just
Which one?
the Monaco boat thing.
That
where,
was 2006, right?
yeah, I think it was 2006. He crashed the car in Monaco. I think
No,
it
no,
was
no. He was the car died basically.
Yes, sorry, it DNF'd. Yeah. But he DNF'd anyway. And then like literally it's like, where's Kimi gone? And then it just cuts to him on his yacht, just like in the boat, just drinking fucking tequila or vodka or whatever. Fantastic.
I think it was Kimi's quote where so if you remember during that time Mercedes was into more flashy things. So they created you can say a steering wheel which they were going to use in Monaco. It had diamonds studded on it.
Yeah.
So Kimi was asked, okay, so this time you have a special steering wheel. It has diamonds studded on it. So what's the significance for you? I said, I hope it makes the car faster. As it turned out, it didn't.
Yeah.
So,
No. Is there any other questions then?
Yes.
Because we could do
by
a
the way,
full
just to
Kimi
sum it up-
podcast.
Yeah, by the way, just to sum it up, Nedzo is, well, he's a friend of the channel. Kyron is also a cool guy. I've only chatted with him. I mean, I was on the DRS Train podcast. He also comes there a few times. So I've had a chat with him a few times. He's fine. But again, look, people will have differing opinions. We have to learn to live with it. That's me being a bit more fatherly than I usually am. Okay, so I think there's one last question. Okay, it's again from Dane Lua. This is the final one.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I do think the reason Max Verstappen checked out this year was because FIA decided to penalize him for what he did to George in Spain and what he did to Oscar in Saudi. I do think in the head he was like, okay, if the FIA won't allow me to win the race in Saudi or what he did to George in Spain, fine, I'm just going to compete with the midfield. I'm not going to try, because if I do try, the FIA will penalize me every time. Honestly, I do think with him getting those penalty points. Oh, okay. So I think it seemed. So what he's saying is
Basically,
that
it's not because of the car, it's because of the FIA penalties. And I disagree.
he's playing it
because,
safe. He doesn't want to get banned.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't like. He's not in the championship. I don't think he cares if he gets banned or not. To be perfectly honest, like it's one
Be
race.
happy.
Yeah, it's one race where he could rent out Toto's boat and chill for a week.
Yeah.
So be fine. But
Or
yeah,
just
like,
go home to his kid.
yeah. So I don't think he cares. Honestly, I think he checked out as soon as basically
Spain.
Spain happened, but I don't think it was because of that penalty. I think it was they arrived at Spain and realized that if anything, McLaren had gotten faster, not slower, because of the technical directive. And they had hoped that weekend of the technical directive, that was when things were going to change. So I think that was the point where it was like, not only did that happen, second of all, they gambled on strategy and it turned around. The gamble basically spun on its head. So, yeah, what can you do? You know, that's that.
Exactly. I mean, again, I still hold the belief that if he was optimistic and he had marshaled the troops a bit better, maybe he could have handled the season a lot. Maybe the gap would have been much lesser to the top two by now. I mean, he's
still
not
wasn't-
winning the championship, but
Yeah.
that's where we are. Anyways, we're done with this. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys like it. It's a bit long this time. I think we've gone for
2 hours, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Exactly 2 hours.
Yeah.
We'll probably cut out the first few minutes. There was nothing there.
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot of dead sound. Yeah.
No, I'll cut it out. But
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.